Yeah, thanks, Philile. I think, like all of these type of initiatives, you've got to make the most of it as an individual when you come to these summits and conferences. And a lot of the value is in listening to the speakers, obviously, and then networking. I spent a bit of time with yourself, and that was a good learning experience for me and with many other people. And I think that's what I'm taking from it, is to meet some new people in the industry. We're still new in it. I'm still new in it. Yes, I'm privileged to be sitting on the Exco of professional football and on the SAFA NEC, and I'm hoping to make a big difference there. So the more input I can get from people, whether it's media people, whether it's club owners, agents, etc., the better for me to build up my knowledge of what the different people and different stakeholders are thinking about our game.
Mm-hmm. And most important for you, especially from the engagements here inside, what is the message?
I think there is optimism, but there's also a lot of, I don't want to call it sadness, but there's a lot of disappointment, I think, in how we're doing at the moment, talking about South African football. And I think it's a good thing in the sense that we know we can be much better. And, my challenge is just to make sure that, at our club, at Stellenbosch Football Club, for example, the better we can become, the more consistent we can become to build a proper club, share information that we think might be useful to other clubs. That's what we're going to do, to put pressure on other people to also lift their game. So I see pessimism, I see optimism, but at the end of the day, just a lot of people that know that the power of football is it's a long-term game. It's way beyond you and I. It's going to be around forever. That's for sure. It's not like a company. You see great companies, disbanding and disappearing after 100 years. Football is always going to be there, and the power of football and sport in general is just incredible. I'm seeing that in Stellenbosch, where for the first time we've got a professional football club in the Winelands ever, and it's galvanizing people. It's changing the narrative of our town and us as a company and so on. So it's so powerful, and it makes me want to do a whole lot of things, but sometimes you have to just take it a bit slower and follow due process and get enough people thinking in the same direction. And I think that's what we're doing with conferences and so on like this.
Mm-hmm. Which is interesting, because last night we were also talking about how you've only been 5 years in existence. And I was listening, and I was also even interviewing TSG Offenheim yesterday here, and they were telling me about how to stick to your model. And I see how slowly you are trying to work on your model.
Yeah.
And already you've got some few success stories that you can say are helping you in terms of doing things by your model.
Yeah, 100% right. So, when we purchased the club as a company, it wasn't because we want to win the PSL. We purchased the club, as you know, in the National First Division at that stage. And with a lot of good fortune, I suppose, we managed to get promotion in our first year. But our plan when we bought the club was to put a 3-year plan in place to start becoming competitive to win promotion. It happened for us quicker than normal. Then we had to readjust and say, now what's the strategy, what's the plans, what are we putting in place? To unearth local talent in the Winelands area is one of our key pillars of our strategy. Now, we can't have a strategy and not have an academy. So we had to put some money towards an academy. So today we've got an under 12 through to under 18 academy. And yes, we don't have, full-time coaches at all those teams and etc. But we're putting in place slowly but surely what we know we need to put in place to build an actual proper club. So you do need to have a plan, you need to have a strategy, and you need to try and stick to it. A lot of people came to me the season before last and said, when are you going to get a new coach? Your team's sliding. You'll remember we came 14th. We were playing very good football because we changed our style a bit to try and get a bit more possession of the ball. But we were struggling, a lot of young players. And then we looked at the underlying stats, because that's part of our plan and our strategy, and the stats told us that we were just being a little bit unlucky. So we stuck with our coaches. The following years, very same squad, very similar squad, same coaching team, and we come 4th. So I do think, like you say, a lot of clubs, it's not just a South African thing, it's around the world, they change their plans and their strategies too quickly without really just investigating, do I need to change and what do I need to change?
Which also brings me to another key thing now that we spoke about also yesterday, to say as professional football clubs, you were promoted from the NFD, and I think even when you started, you bought the status of Vasconet.
No, Vasco became Stellenbosch Football Club before we owned it. They came to speak to me. They wanted to move, and I've always believed since I was a student at Stellenbosch that the Winelands area deserves a professional football club. It's an uncaptured market. So they came to our base, Stellenbosch Academy of Sport. But I said to them, if they want to do that, they have to change their name. We're not going to have Vasco in Stellenbosch. It must be Stellenbosch Football Club. So they changed their brand and their name, and they came to us, but it was still owned by another gentleman. And that continued for 2 years, and then that gentleman wanted to sell the club in 2018, and I then ran to my shareholders and said, this is the opportunity to purchase a football club that we can keep and remain in the Winelands. Mm-hmm. And we purchased it in 2018. Mm-hmm. Stellenbosch Academy of Sport, yes. Purchased the club then. And it's something that we've purchased for the town. It needs to be owned by the town, the fans, the supporters in the Winelands area.
Yeah, but you touched me when you won the GDC.
Yeah.
Because we have not seen this in a very long time, to see a Premier Division team impacting its community and having plans for its community. The idea that informed you to take your prize money and throw it to the LFA.
Yeah, I think, thanks for noticing that. I mean, the LFA is a key partner of ours. There's a lot that can be done to improve what's happening in our local football association. Again, it's a lot of volunteers, a lot of people trying their best, doing their best. We don't have much resources with regards to, people's time, money, and so on. So we want to slowly but surely improve our LFA, because that will help us. That's where the players are coming from for our youth academy. We're not going out and searching for other players. We need to do whatever we can in our direct environment, in the Winelands area. So it was a quick decision actually. Call the LFA and say, listen, what can we do if we do win some money? What can you do with it? And that's how the plan came about. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And also, I'm sure you've even observed quality coaching at that level, LFA regional. That's all they need.
Coaching is very important. I think we mentioned offline yesterday how important coach education is. I don't think we do enough of it at all in our country. We need to look at that. Coaching at all levels needs to improve, because the coach touches thousands of lives. So, you see lots of academies in different sports for young players, but not for coaches. So I think it's something that we have to invest in. And as a club, we try and do our best to bring the local coaches, school coaches, and let them experience what Stellenbosch is about and the coaching, and try and provide them with some information. Yeah.
Just last one, Rob.
Sure.
I've been noticing some of the players that you've been getting, especially from South America. I look at the quality of Java, and I look at the activations that are happening here, the technological side of the game, and I see that your scouting network is really doing something.
Yeah, I think scouting is very different to what it was when we played. There's just so much information that you can get now from players playing this global, beautiful sport of ours around the world. So yes, you spot on. We do use technology. We want to be an innovative club. We don't have a lot of funds to buy players. We can't purchase the best team, so we've got to develop them. But where we do go and scout for players, we use data a lot. So we were the first team certainly in South Africa to also purchase an application called StatsBomb, which just gives you more granular information. So you add that with Instat and other tools that we use, again with good people behind the scenes working on that, and that can help you certainly get good players. So that is one of the things that we're focusing on, local players and overseas players. When we get them, can we find those gems that are maybe not on the radar of some of the bigger clubs, bring them into our club, shine them up, and hopefully they make a difference for us in the PSL and in Europe or wherever they need to land up eventually.
Tell me something, you play to what level?
I played semi-professional, yeah. I was involved in amateur football since a very young boy. Part of my upbringing, and my grandparents and my parents were involved in football, but I never played professional football. I played into what's called the NFD now, but so that's where I got my bit of football knowledge from. Yeah.
Okay, which team in the NFD?
Bellville City, yeah, in the northern suburbs.
Oh, Bellville City.
In Cape Town, yeah. So they used to compete against Vasco and other teams in the northern suburbs.
Trinitarians.
That's it, Trinitarians and so on, yeah. So.
Just maybe on your order, yeah. Do you feel yourself you're on the right? You just come out helping Stellenbosch, and then the NEC of SAFA now, also NEC of part of the PSL. What does it mean to you in terms of business-wise?
What does it mean to me?
To me, yeah, to you.
To me, it's a big honor. I mean, I really didn't expect it, to be honest. I didn't expect it, and I think again, I love that African saying of Ubuntu. I am because we are. I am on the NEC, and I am on the PSL Exco because I am the CEO of Stellenbosch Football Club. Hopefully the next person that's the CEO of Stellenbosch Football Club also has the drive to be part of leadership. So I'm very happy to be there, I'm honored to be there, and I want to make a difference. I feel like I haven't even hit second gear yet, you know what I mean? I need to, that's why these type of things are very good for me as well, to learn, to pick up information from media people, from other people, what they think about the football, and what's going on in our country, and being on those platforms surely gives me an opportunity to try and make a difference. So that's the aim, yeah.
What will make you happy, let's say you leave football administratively completely? Maybe winning the league, winning a trophy?
Yeah, it's always, we sports people, so to win things is always fantastic. I would love to develop more young players. I would love to do really well, and if that means winning a Nedbank Cup, a league or whatever it is with a predominantly young team.
That community as well.
Yes, and we've already produced Bafana players from this community, so I want to continue doing that. I want to see one of the players that comes through our system playing in the highest leagues in Europe. I'd love to see that. We had that when I was growing up, when we were doing well in '96 and so on. There's a number of players, you know them, playing in Europe, so I'd love to see that, yeah. So, and I would love to see Bafana playing in World Cups.
Yeah.
And that's something that's not just, obviously Stellenbosch can play a small role, but all the clubs play a big role in that. We need to get back into the World Cup. So Bafana and Banyana, I want, when I retire and we're playing consistently at that level, then I'll be happy.